Hello and welcome back to Fantasy Premier League. I am FPL D Unit and today you're here for a very special edition of a video based on kind of a bit of chip strategy, but which chip should you be playing in double game week 24? Is it your wildcard chip? I'm going to say it probably shouldn't be, but if you're here for that, that'll be at the back end of the video. If you're here for the assistant manager chip, that's going to be straight off the bat. And if you're here for triple captain in between, that is going to also be here. So look, please, hopefully, if you're enjoying this content, please smash a like, smash a subscribe as well if you're new. Hopefully you find this useful. I'm also in one of them quandaries at the moment about whether I play any chip at all this week. I've actually started having second doubts about my own strategy. But without further ado, we are going to jump into what I believe is the correct strategy for 24-25. Now, really quickly, double game week 24 this week. It's here. You need to be aware of it. Liverpool and Everton are playing a catch-up game due to the postponement, which means that Everton play Leicester and then they play Liverpool. Both of those games are at home. And then for Liverpool, they play 2 away games. They have Bournemouth away and then they obviously have the Everton away fixture as well. So it's going to be interesting. So as of this week as well, the assistant manager chip is now in play in game week 24. You can get them into your team. I'm going to go over a few basics there. So if you're still new to the chip and how it works, hopefully listening to this will hopefully make you play it in the correct manner and not waste money or transfers, etc., in your very first week playing it, because a lot of people have become unstuck on that. And I do feel sorry for people like that. So we will get into that very shortly. Game week 29, you still have to be aware of that. The blank game week will be there. At the moment, it is Newcastle against Crystal Palace that will be blanking. In terms of the other fixture, it is currently Tottenham-Fulham, but it highly likely will probably be Liverpool-Aston Villa, provided that Tottenham are playing so bad at the moment. I can't see them going to Anfield to get a result. Game week 30, I think, is still the best time to wildcard. So if you're still holding your second wildcard like I am, I think that is probably the best time to play it, 30, 31. I mean, I have actually looked at my team and think potentially I can get away with actually not wildcarding until later in the season. I always look at the last game fixture of game week 38 and think that if you can hold a chip for that week that changes your team based on teams resting players, etc., going on holiday, you can actually milk so many extra points in that last game week. But it's a strategy. It's flawed with dangerous connotations, so I wouldn't honestly recommend that. So I think that the best play is to do what I've just put here. In terms of game week 33, that will be a double for the teams that blank in 29. And that could be this is why I've been thrown off the triple captain a little bit and like the bench boost, because like so many weeks this season, I've had really good bench boost weeks where I could have made like over 20 odd points from my bench boost just in a normal game week, which is why I'm kind of starting to lean towards maybe just playing a bench boost on a single game week, because I'm going to get into the double game weeks in a second. But Liverpool play Leicester in game week 33. Now, I can tell you that I think that Moh Salah will go a lot better. Even Trent Alexander-Arnold will probably go a lot better against Leicester in 33 than they will against these two teams that are away in game week 24. So that's something to keep in mind. In terms of the blank game week 34, that's still the best time for the free hit. There's going to be so many more teams that are going to be blanking during that game week, so I wouldn't be sitting there. And like, there could be other doubles that get thrown up between now and then if the weather causes postponements or other stuff. Who actually knows? But yeah, double game week 36, probably the best time to play the bench boost or the assistant manager chip. I mean, yeah, that's just what it is. So look, we are going to sit there and I just want to talk you through the ultimate guide now for this week. So the ultimate guide is, this is personally what I'm thinking. This is my thoughts about what I think for game week 24. So you have to set your team up this week in order to maximize the points that are on offer during the first double game week of the season. Now, that doesn't mean buying 3 Everton players, because that is not setting up your team for success, because you're going to have those Everton players long term. You don't just want them for 1 week. You want them, they're going to have to be good. And look, it does look like Everton are enjoying some sort of a new manager bounce under David Moyes. The problem is they just don't have many goals in that team. Dwight McNeil's still out injured, which is unfortunate because he would definitely been someone I would be interested in. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, some people were looking at taking a punt on. And Dye, people were looking at taking a punt on. I'm not sure about any of these players whatsoever. But if you're a betting man and you really wanted to get on the assistant manager chip, it is this week. It is David Moyes. He's got the table bonus. And look, he got the table bonus against Brighton on the weekend, 1-0 win. He is the highest scoring points manager since they got added to the game. So, look, without further ado, we're just going to jump straight into what is actually going on with the assistant manager chip. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to talk through then the best 5 or 6, 7, 8 Liverpool players you can have in order of what I believe. I'm going to talk you through each of them. I'm then going to talk you through the Everton players as I see the best ones. And there's only 4 here I'm going to talk about because the rest I just don't think are worthy candidates. So yeah, let's jump into, assistant manager chip. What does it mean? So everything you need to know. So your system manager chip is now available. If you play it this week, you are locked out of playing any other chip between game weeks 24, 25, and 26 inclusive. Now, you can change your manager each week if you want. And I do believe that when I end up playing this chip, that is 100% what I'm going to do. Now, the main reason why, and I'm going to talk you through a few different things here. If you play the chip, all right, and I'm not going to play the chip because I don't want to play it this week. So I'm going to show you where you play it in the thing. So if you're wondering how to do it, I'd recommend doing it on a desktop site. Apparently some people have reported having issues with the app. If it's not up to date, it won't let you play it. So definitely help on the desktop site like I'm showing you here. In terms of playing the chip itself, when you pick your first manager, you have to be confident that that is the manager you want to play that week. Now, unlike Wildcard, where you can make unlimited transfers during that week when you're wildcard, it doesn't cost you any money or any transfers. It will cost you a transfer if you decide. So, for example, you decide you want to play it on David Moyes this week, and then by the weekend you see that Everton have lost and died of injury, and you're like, there's no way they're going to score a win here or whatever. They're 100% going to lose, and you want to change to Arnie Slot. Well, that's going to cost you 1 transfer. All right, so that's very important to note. It's going to cost you 1 transfer. It's not something that you should be doing. All right, so you need to be 100% certain. There's no need to play the chip until literally the day of the game, and then just pick the manager you want to go with or the team you want to go with, and make sure you have that money in your bank. So at the moment in my team, I've only got 0.3. I would actually have to free up some money in order to bring a manager in. So that's also important. The manager prices are there. We're going to have a look at them very shortly. But the other things you need to know, how do they score points? All right, so the manager will also show up here. This is just a guide. This is the scouts piece. I'm just quickly pulling it out. That's why they changed the new settings. So when you've got these 4, that's where your bench will be now. And then obviously you will have your assistant manager sitting there on the left of the screen. And then you can see your normal forward line there. If they've got that forward line, you don't have a very good midfield. That having said, we go down and it actually tells you how to you get points. So if your team just generally wins and you pick an Arnie Slot, so some people might think, I'm going to play it safe. I'm going to go with Arnie Slot this week. Bournemouth, Everton, 2 wins. That's going to be 12 points if he wins both of them. Now, if your team doesn't win, which is why I don't think it's a very good idea to play an Arnie Slot, particularly this week, it's only 3 points for a draw and it's nothing for a loss. You get no appearance point, nothing at all if your team loses. All right, so goals scored by a team. Now, if your team racks up big numbers, like Bournemouth did on the weekend against Forest, that's 5 extra points for those 5 goals that they got. And then they also kept a clean sheet, so you get an extra 2 points. Now, the main points that are on offer, which make this chip such a powerful chip, and why you need to have a little bit of foresight about where you want to go with it, is you get 10 points for a win, which would be 16 in total if your team that you pick. So for example, Everton on the weekend, and I'll pull the table up in a second to show you exactly what it means. They have to be 5 places below the team they're playing. And if they win, they'll get 16 points for a win. So you can already see there, 1 win is already better than playing Arnie Slot for 2 wins and getting 12 points. All right. So that's something you need to keep in mind. If they draw, you get 5 points for a draw. So it'll be 8 points because you get 3 points in general for a draw plus the 5 table bonus, which is still more than a win. Which is why it's so much better, I personally believe, to play it on teams lower down the table and really chase those points. And I'm sitting at 10.4k. So in reality, I don't really need to be chasing rank, but that's just how I want to do it. I want to be aggressive. I feel like it's an aggressive chip. I don't know if it's going to be here next year, but it's something I definitely want to take. I want to just back it in and hope that what goes well. It could go poorly. I'm just hoping it goes well. Now, the other thing you need to keep in mind is the price of the managers. So let's have a look at the table bonus at the moment. Sorry, we're going to have a look at the manager points. My bad. So here we can see on the right-hand side, David Moyes, 0.5 million. He got 19 points. He beat Brighton 1-0. We'll have a look at the table in a second, but he's definitely someone that Slot's not going to have any table bonus. They're sitting on top of the table. They've got no chances. Moyes, though, brilliant option, particularly if you believe in the new manager bounce. Areola is probably a manager that I'd be really keen in, but unfortunately they're so high up the table that the table bonus really isn't going to be there really for them, which is unfortunate. When you look further down, managers that do catch my eye. Ruben Amorim, if he can start delivering results like he did against Fulham on the weekend, particularly towards the back end of the season, maybe we'll see some sort of a bounce. Graham Potter, ditto at West Ham. Maybe by the end of the season, we start seeing West Ham really kick in and kick on. Only 0.5 million for him as well. Frank, Brentford, if they've got a nice run of fixtures at home, could be really good. I mean, Van Nistelrooy, Emery's actually a weird one as well. Villa in a weird position in the table, but he's really cheap. And then Ollie Geisner is probably the other one at Crystal Palace, 0.8 mil. Ange Postecoglou, how he's 1.1 with Tottenham 15th in the table, I will not be able to tell you why. But in reality, if Tottenham get their players back, they could be a really good team to target as well. So that's something to keep in mind. So if we have a quick look at the table, this is how it currently stands. So as you can see there, Bournemouth would actually have a table bonus against Liverpool, and Bournemouth are playing at home and they've been super good this week. So if I actually would prefer to play it on Areola compared to Arnie Slot based on that table bonus, and even though they've only got the single game week. But if we have a look at Everton, who are down here in 16th, that's why they got the table bonus. They beat Brighton, who are up in 9th. That's the teams you want to be targeting, which is why I was like kind of disappointed that, well, I feel like Man United will eventually pick it up. They're about to sign a player and they might pick it up. But these are the teams that I'm looking at. Who have they got? Are they playing at home? Have they got a team that's higher above them in the table? And look, lots of people will be targeting Nottingham Forest. Now, I know Nottingham Forest are in third. I don't expect them to finish in the top 4. I feel like they're going to drop. For example, I feel like if some of these teams like a Fulham, a Brentford, a Palace, a West Ham, even Tottenham, have Forest come and play at their ground, that would be a good week to play it on that manager for that particular week. So that's what I would say on the new managers. I wouldn't be playing it this week. I don't think Everton are likely to beat Liverpool, and they're not going to get a table bonus against Leicester. And I would argue that Leicester are probably eyeing up beating Everton as a quite winnable game. So I'm not convinced that it's worth playing your assistant manager chip this week. If you really want to burn it, then go ahead. But I wouldn't be doing it, and I wouldn't be playing on Arnie Slot either based on those facts. Now, in terms of the transfers for this week, we're going to have a quick look at, we're going to go back to here. The players this week you should be targeting. We're going to start with Liverpool because they are the most obvious team that you need to triple up on. Now, Moh Salah is definitely the number 1 pick. All right, he has to be the number 1 pick. If you don't have him and you're one of the 28.9% of managers that don't, he has to be in your team this week. Otherwise, you might as well delete the game and just, maybe you already have if you haven't got him. Yeah, I mean, this is the most logical triple captain as well. If anyone's wondering, realistically, if we have a look at the games this season, so they've already played Bournemouth. They haven't played Everton already. So let's have a look at the Bournemouth game earlier in the season. And you only got 1 assist. And that was in a 3-0 win at home to Bournemouth. So that's not amazing numbers. However, he did have 0.78 expected goal involvement and probably should have scored from the 0.61 he did have. But that was following on from the Nottingham Forest game. Now, Bournemouth are a really good team. And this is why I'm sort of in the quandary of, do I play the triple captain this week or not? Realistically, there could be better weeks. Game week 33, as I said, they play Leicester at home, and then they would also have Aston Villa in the double-up game. Now, in Aston Villa's game, where they played them at home, Moh Salah got 1 goal, 1 assist. And Aston Villa, I would argue, don't defend as well as Bournemouth. So it's like one of them ones, do you just play it this week, get it over and done with because you're going to have other chips to play? That is what I'm saying originally. I think that's probably the best course of action. But Moh Salah, if you have a look at the numbers this season, the man has gone over 10 points in almost half his games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 out of 23 games, this man has got over 10 points. So that's a 50% chance that he'll do at least that in one of the 2 games, which I think means that he's a really realistic choice. Like lots of people played on Erling Haaland against Ipswich Town earlier in the season for 17 points. Really good haul. If you got lucky and played on one of the ones that got like 20 or 25, like the Cole Palmer, then brilliant. You don't have to worry about it. But I think this is the most logical week to play it. I mean, I would expect Moh Salah to at least get, across the 2 games, a minimum of 12 points, I would say. I think his maximum would be anywhere from 12 to potentially 25, depending on how well the games go and how well he's involved. But like that is the minimum what we're sort of looking at. So I think it makes the most logical sense to play it. Now, in terms of the second best Liverpool player, it is Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's going to cost you 7.3 million, which is expensive, but he just has that assist threat, that goal threat that no other defender has in the game. And look, there is a chance of a clean sheet. Everton don't score many goals. I think that of the 2 games, it's most likely that Everton game will be the one where there is a clean sheet. Now, if we have a look at the Bournemouth game earlier in the season, when they did keep a clean sheet, were expected to concede 1.08 goals, but they did keep a clean sheet. So, look, Bournemouth may struggle to score against Liverpool, but I have them scoring at least 1 goal against Liverpool in that game. But I do think the Everton game will be a shutout. So that way, if he gets 1 assist or whatever over the 2 games, plus the clean sheet, he's going to be on over a double-figure haul. So, look, for me, Trent Alexander was a clear number 2. Now, in terms of number 3, it is Cody Gakpo, just. It's not by a lot, but he is the next best pick. So, Cody Gakpo, I say his name. I'm sorry, mate. I just get your name wrong. Every time I look at it and say it, it just comes out differently. But in terms of him, look, there's a lot of things to take into account here. Look, his numbers have been good, but not amazing. Like he's only got 2 hauls this season over 10 points. And one of them was against Ipswich and the other one was against Leicester, and neither of the 2 teams are going to be like that. So I'm not expecting Cody Gakpo to score more than 16 points across the 2 games. He would definitely underscore Salah, but he's still, I think, the 3rd best option in Liverpool. Now, outside of him, it then is Canade, who's gone up to 5.2, likely to rise to 5.3 before the deadline. He's just a really other good alternative that's cheaper, does the same thing as pretty much Van Dijk. If you really want Van Dijk, you can pay up the extra 1.3 mil or whatever it is for him. I just don't think it's worth the hassle. He's still going to deliver you the same points. I would dare say he's going to play both games. He started all the league games since he's been back fit. So for me, he's definitely the next. Then it is Alisson Becker in goal, who I currently have. Look, I'm not thrilled about this, and if I could change it around, I would, but I had Alisson before I got Trent, and I do rate Trent better than Gakpo as that second best person from Liverpool. So look, Alisson still offers a pretty cheap way into the Liverpool backline. He's 100% going to play 90 minutes. It's just a matter of whether they can keep clean sheets. If they do, you're laughing. If they don't, well, then it's been a bit of a fail. But look, for me, he's definitely comes in at number 5. In terms of number 6, it is Slobber's I just think that if you can't get to Gakpo and you want a second Liverpool player, he's not going to break people's budgets, and he has the capacity to score big hauls. He's actually scored more big hauls this season than Cody Gakpo. So look, take that into account. The last 3 games without Jones, without Jota, he started every one of those games. The expected goal involvement's been really good. He's definitely the next best person. If you're after someone else, look, it probably then is Luis Diaz. And Luis Diaz, he's all right, 17.8%. He's okay, but if you've got him, you hold him, but I'd go for one of the other options in front of him. I just don't think he's got the same points potential, and his minutes are a big risk. Now, outside of Luis Diaz, if you're really after someone else, you want the next best option, it probably is Virgil van Dijk. I just don't like having to pay up the extra 1.2 million for someone that literally does the same as Canade. Realistically, he's not going to score a goal, so you're really just banking on the clean sheets, and in that case, you just want Canade, I think, who's much cheaper. And then if you're really desperate and you really want to take a plunge on someone that's low-owned and you think he's going to return, Darwin Núñez at 7 mil, 2.2% ownership, he comes in last. I wouldn't be bothering looking at any other players. And realistically, I wouldn't be looking at him either. Now, in terms of Everton assets, well, this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Jordan Pickford is definitely, I think, number one. Now, the reason why is because he gets save points. Like, you just have to look there on the side. 1, 3, 2, 7, 5, 4, 4, 5. He does get the odd. He generally gets a save point every week. So, provided they don't concede 3, 4 goals, he's only going to get you 3 points pretty much most weeks. I'm not sure. 2 to 3 points most weeks. He's not going to get you 1. Against Leicester, can they keep a clean sheet? Highly likely. Against Liverpool, probably not. So in reality, his maximum point ceiling is probably sitting about 10 to 11, depending on how many saves he gets. Then it does open up a little bit, like longer term, up to game week 29, where obviously they're going to play West Ham at home, Wolves away, Brentford away. Like, there's some good fixtures in there, and I expect Everton probably to keep a few clean sheets. So that's why Jordan Pickford's not actually that bad of a shout, particularly if you're wildcarding him 30. You can just get rid of him then. So if that's the Everton player you want to bring in, I don't mind it. Now, the next best player, 100%, is Mikalenko. He's only going to cost you 4.4 mil. A ditto, the same fixtures. He's got no attacking threat really at all this season. So you're just relying on those clean sheets again, and that's what you've got to base it down. For a lot of people, bank game week 29, which is why I'm actively looking at potentially transferring Robinson for Mikalenko on my team this week. That's just a move that I think that I can go to. So, like, for me, I really like that as a move there. In terms of Ndiaye, like, look, Calvert-Lewin's yellow flagged, probably not going to play, a hamstring. Ndiaye is now on penalties because Calvert-Lewin wasn't there, but the only reason why he got any XG was because of the penalty. Otherwise, he had no touches in the penalty box. He doesn't have really much attacking threat at all. I just don't think he is a good option. Like, I honestly think 5.4 mil, you're better off keeping, like, going for a whistle at 6.2 and playing the Brentford fixture against Spurs than relying on Ndiaye to get your points against Leicester and Liverpool. That's just the way I see it. If you want to take it on, by all means, go ahead. I just don't rate the Everton attack at all. They don't create much. They've got no McNeil, that's probably their most attacking player in terms of chance creation. So for me, it's a big avoid. Even if they would need to sign one before Friday, and the deadline for me to change my mind on that. Now, the fourth best option, if you really wanted someone else and you want to pay up a bit more, is Tarkowski, or Tarkowski, however you say his name. He obviously does have a bit of goal threat off set pieces. It's not amazing for the season. In fact, it's only 0.04 and 0.08 for the season. So again, 4.8 mil, you're better off just getting Mikalenko and rolling with that. So look, those are the Everton players. Those are the Liverpool ones. Now, in terms of triple captain, that is where I'm at the moment. I will 100% be playing it on Moh Salah this weekend. I will then have the vice captaincy on Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think that he's probably the second best pick. If you're really risky and you want to take a little bit of a punt, you could go Gody Gapgo at number 3 and probably Slobbersley at number 4. That's what I would be doing if you are triple captaining this week. Now, in terms of a wild card draft, now, this is where it does get a little bit interesting. I'm just going to quickly show you I'm going to show you my team, and we're going to quickly swap over to this screen. So, at the moment, I'm pretty happy with the way my team looks. I'm going to zoom this out a little bit so you can actually see what the team looks like. So, that's going to be my starting lineup at the moment this weekend. So, Becker, Hall, Alexander-Arnold, Milenkovic, Palmer, Bruno, Ahmad, Salah, Wood, Isaac, and Wissa. And obviously, as I talked about before, triple captain will be going on Salah. I haven't activated yet because I'm still making up my mind whether I really want to do it. And then obviously on the bench, I've actually got Phil Foden sitting on the bench this week, Fabianski, Robinson, and Kirkes. Now, in terms of what I think a team should look like, so wildcard draft, obviously what I've done this week is I have tried to maximize it for this week. So let's have a look at what I've actually created. So I have got, as I talked about, Pickford and goal. Now, I really rate paying up in the forward 8, and this week is no exception. And I will 100%, look, my team value is 108.2 and I've got nothing left in the budget here. I couldn't play a system manager chip if I'm wildcarding this week. And there's no way the majority of people will be able to afford this particular lineup this week. It's just physically not possible. Now, in terms of what I like about this, so obviously I've ditched most of my defence has actually been ditched, except Hall and Kirkes, who I still think are really good long-term holds. I bought in Gahey for Robinson. I bought in Canade for Trent, only because of the fact that then allows me to have a third Liverpool player, and Canade is sort of just covering the clean sheet. Do I rate that? I think I do when I look at my midfield. I think it's worth it, but that's just my personal opinion. Obviously, I've got Mikalenko in there, so I've only got 2 Everton players, but I just feel like I don't really rate doubling up on a defence, but I just feel like I could play one or the other for the majority of the weeks and just roll the... I've obviously paid up a little bit more money for Areola in goal, who now looks like he's going to be the starting goalkeeper instead of Fabianski. So that's something to keep in mind here for a wildcard draft. In terms of the midfield, it is the Cole Palmer and Moh Salah template. They are still both in there. I've still got Phil Foden because I believe in that man and I believe he's going to continue scoring points. And like, for example, this week you just bench him against Arsenal and then you play him the week after against Newcastle at home. I wouldn't be scared about playing him there. Brian Mbeumo obviously comes in for Ahmad. It's just a straight up, like, everyone in that midfield and forward 8 outside of Foden and Wissa are penalty takers. And Gapco, sorry, because I just realised I ditched Wood in order to get in the third Liverpool asset in the forward line. So that midfield, though, is just going to score points. Like, score points every week. That is the name of the game. And then you just work out who you want to bench. It will be a benching headache literally every week, but it's a nice luxury to be in. In terms of Wissa, Isaac and Gapco, I still think that they are 3 of the better forwards going around at the moment. Obviously, Gapco has that double game week, followed by the Wolves game. And look, realistically, when you compare him to like Chris Wood, Mateta, the fixtures are really comparable up until game week 29, where potentially Liverpool might blank. They've got the Southampton fixture at home in there. Newcastle City aren't the best in 26-27, but outside of that, the fixture run for Liverpool's pretty damn good through to mostly the end of the season. So look, it does look pretty good on paper. And I just think that Cody Gapco is definitely someone you want. So that's what I'll be doing. If you are wildcarding this week, which I wouldn't be recommending, I would be trying to load up on as many of those assets as you can and just play the double this week. But this team also does set you up for the blank game week 29. So if Newcastle and Palace blank, which we expect will happen, that's 3 players affected there, Gahey, Hall and Isaac. If Liverpool blank, that's another 3. So that's 6. So in the next time that you're spending this, if it's Fulham Tottenham that actually gets through, you're sweet. You've only got 3 players you've got to worry about. The rest will all be playing in your team set and you laugh and you don't even have to worry about like anything else post that. But you would just literally spend a couple of transfers moving out, probably Gapco, Hall or Canade, because realistically you're going to have no team value in Canade and well, that's what I'll be doing anyway. So look, let me know in the comments, what chip are you playing this week? Which one? Do you have any questions based on the chips? Is there anything that you want to throw at me that you think maybe I can talk about tomorrow in to transfers tips video? And yeah, just let me know what you're thinking, because that's what I've been thinking. I still think the triple captain is definitely the best player this week. I can understand why people are tempted to play the assistant manager. It's nice, it's new, it's shiny. Just don't be tempted, and make sure that if you are going to play it, you've planned out your first week and then your 2 following weeks. And remember, every time you change your manager, it costs you 1 free transfer. Just keep that in mind. Otherwise, you'll be racking up a lot of -4s, and that is really going to be hurting your rank instead of gaining it. So thanks for joining. Make sure you smash a like, press a subscribe, and hopefully you found that video nice and entertaining. Thanks for watching. It's been the D Unit.